So, as promised, I'm going to be providing to you some insight onto being a flight attendant. Chances are, if you're looking at this video, you've had questions or you've asked me questions. So, hopefully, this video will answer a lot of your questions. So, I've been flying for about 2 years, and it wasn't a job that I thought I would get. I always knew that I wanted to travel for work, but I never ever thought about being a flight attendant. Like, it never even occurred to me as a job. And one day somebody suggested that I apply to be a flight attendant. And I was like, okay, whatever that is, whatever that entails, I'll apply. I only applied to one airline, and next thing you know, it kind of rolled over into me being here 2 years later. So the way it works is, I'm gonna start from the beginning. So you apply, and every airline's application process is different, but the first step is applying. And I applied mindlessly, and a few weeks later, I was contacted by my airline. They asked me to do a video interview, and I honestly had completely forgotten that I applied, and I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? So I literally Googled, what is a flight attendant? And little did I know, it's a whole new world. And all these flight attendants are giving tips on how to pass the interview, what to prepare for, how to pass the interview successfully. And I started following all these YouTubers and watching all these videos. And I did my video interview, and it's basically, you're not even talking to a person. It's just you talking to yourself. A question pops up in the corner and you answer it. And it's nerve-wracking. I actually did it on my last day because they give you a week, and I completely forgotten about the video interview. And I was like, oh, I have to do that today. So I did it. I started studying for it that morning, looking at all the YouTubers, and I sat down at the computer. They give you a test run on what to expect. I did look at glassdoor.com, which is a great tool, and I looked at that, and it actually gives you all the questions that they ask you. And so I wrote down all of my answers, quickly jotted them down. Did the video interview. It was probably about 5 minutes long. I got up and I was like, well, won't be hearing from them again, because I was just so nervous. I didn't know what to expect. All I knew was that I needed to smile a lot and look the part. I wore a red lipstick. I believe I wore a collared shirt, and just a stereotypical flight attendant look is what I was going for. And after every question, even though I thought I bombed it, I smiled. Yes, I want to be a flight attendant because I enjoy working with people, and I enjoy meeting new people and being of service to people. And I smiled. So I learned that the biggest thing that airlines want you to do is to be big on customer service. They don't care that you like to travel. That's obvious, which is to why you're probably applying for this job, is because you enjoy travel, but they care about the business first. So you want to emphasize customer service. So after the video interview, I was confident I wouldn't hear from them again. They actually sent me an email, and I actually was already about to start 2 other jobs. They sent me an email, and they were like, hey, we want to fly you out to New Jersey. I was like, well, I'm getting flued out. So only thing I had to pay for was room and board. So I got a random Airbnb in Newark, New Jersey, and went there the day before. They fly you out the day before in my case, and the interview was the next day, and they fly you back right after the interview. So the interview process, I believe we had a meeting point at the airport, and they navigated us through the airport to the training facility. We got there, and there were like maybe 50 other people who had also applied, and they give you a little rundown on how the interview process is gonna go. And it's basically 3 separate interviews within this same facility. So they put you in a room with a one-on-one person talking, and they're asking you, why do you want to be a flight attendant? Why did you apply to this airline? And I wasn't even trying to kiss butt, but I was legitimately like, you guys are the only airline I applied to, so this is my one and only chance, I guess. And apparently they ate that up. They love that, and I wasn't even attempting to impress them. So let them know that they're special to you and that what they stand for is something that you believe in. So I had my one-on-one interview, and every interviewer is different. They were looking for different things. It's not uniform. So other flight attendants conducting the interview. And so she was asking me all these questions, and I believe I looked them up on Glassdoor, but I don't recall. Glassdoor was a great tool throughout the process. And so after I had my one-on-one interview with her, they put me in another room with the other flight attendants, and we're like, how did your interview go? How'd your interview go? We noticed some people who were there were leaving and things like that. We didn't know what was going on. And so then they called me in another room, and there were two people. It was kind of like it was a closed off, more secluded room. The first interview was kind of in a cubicle, and you can see the other people having their interviews. And so in the second interview, it was closed door, and it was a man and a woman asking me questions, and I believe they were similar to the last person's questions, and I was answering and smiling, and they both left out the room, and I'm twiddling my thumbs. I'm like, oh, I don't know what I just said. I don't know what I did. And they come back, and they're like, well, Brittany, we like what you told us, and we actually want you to start training in January. I believe I conducted my interview in August or September of 2016, and I was supposed to start in January of 2017. And I was like, what? Okay, well, all right, I'm definitely available. I will be there. I had my nose piercing and didn't even register, and they were like, we just need you to take that out. I took it out right on the spot. And so then they sent me home. I flew home, and I was starting my other jobs, and in anticipation of expecting to start in January, I received an update. We're actually going to push it back to the end of January. Okay, that's fine. At least I know I have a job. Okay, the end of January slowly approaches, and I don't have an email about what we're going to be doing, where we're going to be staying, or even where training will be held. And the end of January comes. You know what? We're going to push it to the middle of February. Okay, so now I'm losing hope. And I'm like, well, maybe this was all a scam. Or I don't know. I don't know anything about flying at this point. So I'm like, okay. So the beginning of February, I'm expecting to hear something. I don't hear anything. And then we get another update. We're going to start at the beginning of March. This continues on until we finally get a start date. And we actually started on my birthday, March 29th, which was just a stamp of approval that this job was meant to be. It just kind of came really easy. So a lot of people ask me, how did I get the job? And I'm like, I just applied. I was lucky enough to be hired on the spot. I was lucky enough to not fail training. And it just happened. You kind of have to be applying at the right time. The company has to be hiring. You have to be what they're looking for. Flight attendants are expected to have a certain demeanor in regards to being able to service people, being polite, smiling a lot. And even though not every day you conduct your service like that, that's what you have to sell. And that's really what you have to be. You have to be a nice person. You have to be a people person. And so March 29th came, and I was in Houston, Texas, and I started training. It was really easy for me. If you want to know about the training process, let me know, and I'll post a video about that. If you have any questions that I didn't answer, because most of my questions that I get from people are, how did you become a flight attendant? How are you a flight attendant? I mean, what's the process like? So that's the process. It's very cutthroat, very simple, very easy. You don't have to go to flight attendant training. You don't have to have any special skills. People do flight attendant school, which is a scam. You don't need it. You don't have to know anything about being a flight attendant, about traveling, anything at all. Only thing they ask is that you're willing to relocate. So you cannot be like, oh, I want to live at home, or I want to be able to be with my boyfriend. No, you need to be able to and be willing to basically dedicate your life to flying, because this is what this job requires. So if you have any other questions, let me know. Follow me on Instagram at McCray I'll put that below. Also, yeah, if you have any questions, you can submit them on this video. So, yep, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. Bye.